Hey there folks, Scottsdale Travel Chick Sidekick here to present our visitor guide on Ketchikan, Alaska. In this video, we'll cover all the top things you'll want to see and do on a short cruise-related day visit or a longer-term multi-day trip to Ketchikan. And we'll throw in a little history too. Okay, let's go. First up, let's touch on that history. Ketchikan is the southernmost city in Alaska, only 700 miles northwest of Seattle, Washington. It's sometimes known as Alaska's first city, as it's the first city you come to as you move north from the Puget Sound to the Gulf of Alaska. It first emerged on America's census map back in 1900, when a permanent salmon cannery was established in the area in 1885, and a few more by 1912. After that, timber and logging also became a thing, and Ketchikan became one of the wildest wilderness towns in America through the early and mid-1900s. Today, the canneries and timber business activities are largely gone, and the entire town of Ketchikan, really the entire island, and yes, it's on an island, has a population of less than 10,000 people. Ketchikan sits in the Tongass National Forest, which is the largest national forest in America. Bet you didn't know that. It covers a massive 17 million acres, and it's about the entire size of the state of West Virginia. Tourism cruise ships keep the town alive today, and there are 5 massive berths around town. So, a fun fact is that when just a couple of cruise ships are in town, visiting tourists dwarf the entire population of Ketchikan itself. Now, let's touch briefly on getting to Ketchikan and getting around once you're there. I'll start by saying that the vast majority of annual visitors to Ketchikan come by way of cruise ships and only visit for less than a day. For those visitors who fly into Ketchikan and stay more than one day, there's only one way in from the mainland, and that's through Seattle's SeaTac Airport. And you have only 2 airline choices, Alaska Air and Delta. Finally, there is a third way to visit Ketchikan, which very few people do, and that's by the Alaskan Marine Highway ferry system, which sails along Alaska's Inner Passage. Given that the vast majority of all visitors come by cruise ship and spend less than a day, I'll break the rest of this visitor guide up between things cruise passengers can do on their day visit and other things for everyone else who will stay multiple days. If you're one of those cruise ship visitors, getting around is easy. Most of the cruise ship terminals, I think it's 4 out of the 5, are directly downtown, and it's a short 5 to 15 minute walk to anywhere in the historic part of downtown. If you're a multi-day visitor, you will likely be arriving to the Ketchikan Airport, which is actually a few miles north of the old town, and on an island, a 5-minute ferry ride from Ketchikan proper. One-way fares are $6 a person or $7 a vehicle. There are a couple of car rental options from the airport, but most people staying across multiple days are here for fishing, and the fishing lodge of their choice typically provides transportation to and from their place. Now, let's get to the best things to see and do in and around Ketchikan. I'll start with the options you'll have if you're just visiting for the day from a cruise ship. First up, and it's free, is to do a walking tour of Ketchikan's Old Town area. It's a bit small and it's a bit touristy, but there are a number of quaint restaurants to explore, as well as local artisan and knick-knack shops. But the centerpiece of downtown Ketchikan has to be Creek Street, which is actually not a street, but an elevated wooden walkway along a number of historic creekside establishments. There's a ton of history to this place, and there are plenty of placards around telling you about it. But it was once a wild and crazy red light district and drinking area. These days, Creek Street is home to a quieter class, but still retains its delightful historic charm. In season, the boardwalk along Creek Street is also an ideal place to see the summer salmon run. Look down into the creek from some of the bridges and spot tons of salmon making their final run to spawn and then die in this creek. You might even get lucky and see a harbor seal or two in the creek looking for an easy meal. Outside of such a walking tour, there are also a number of short day excursions to consider. Quite a few for such a small town. There's a duck boat tour, salmon fishing day trips, totem pole and native tours, ATV tours, and various eco kayak and inflatable tours on the water. All of these options are great, but in particular, we'd recommend these 5 as your best choices. First up, take a float plane trip to misty fjords. 1,000-foot waterfalls down spectacular cliffs, seeing wild animals in their natural habitat, and landing on an alpine lake in the middle of nowhere are just some of the things you'll do. This is an absolute bucket list if you haven't done it before, in our opinion. If you want to know more about what this trip is like, check out our dedicated video on it. Just search Scottsdale Travel Chick Misty Fjords. How about taking an electric bike tour and a rainforest hike? It's kind of unique in that you can take in a bit of the outdoors on an e-bike and then do some hiking at one of our favorite family hiking options in all of Ketchikan. We'll talk a bit more about that hike later in the video. But check this out if you're up for an adventure. How about an outing on a crabbing ship from a famous TV show? We haven't done this one, but it seems to be popular as this boat was on the TV show Deadliest Catch. And it's a great outdoor adventure, yet still pretty tame. You'll get to see some crabs, octopus, and other sea life up close and personal. Plus, we met the captain one time at a bar downtown, and he seemed pretty nice, so maybe give him a try. How about the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show? We haven't done this one either, but it seems really popular with the cruise crowd. The show is only 1 hour long and is offered 3 to 5 times a day. And it's right downtown, so you can easily do this in combination with your own walking tour of the town we mentioned before. Finally, maybe tour an oyster farm. This seems to be offered only on and off, but hopefully it's available when you visit. We really like this, and it's quite unique. How many people knew they grew oysters in Alaska, huh? They'll tell you about the whole process, from little baby oysters the size of a small pebble to the big boys oysters. And you get to taste some stuff when you're done. If you want to know more about this outing, check out our dedicated video on this. Just search Scottsdale Travel Chick Oyster Farm. Finally, a pro tip. On these excursions, you can save a ton of money by not booking these on the cruise ship itself, but by booking them directly with the local providers or through a website like viator.com. They're the same companies the cruise ships use, so they're used to getting you on and off the boat on time, so don't worry about that. Now, let's get to you longer-term visitors who are staying for more than 1 day. But before I do, just a quick shout out here that if you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to our channel to receive more fun, informative travel videos just like this one. Now, back to those options for longer-term visitors to Ketchikan. If you're coming for more than 1 day, you are very likely coming here for a fishing trip. The Ketchikan area has some of the best fishing in Alaska, with 5 different types of salmon making their summer runs, as well as halibut, cod, and snapper, just to name a few more. Heck, we've even caught sharks here. If you're coming to Ketchikan for fishing, allow me to make a recommendation. The best place in Ketchikan for booking a family or group fishing trip is Salmon Falls Resort. It's about 30 minutes north of town and feels remote, yet you can easily get to town or anywhere else in the days you're not fishing. They offer brand new 31-foot and 27-foot fishing boats, along with new 18-foot self-guided skiffs if you're a do-it-yourself kind of guy. On top of the best fishing boats and gear in Ketchikan, they also offer upscale rooms and amenities, as well as the best dining in Ketchikan at their on-site restaurant and bar called Timbers. And bonus, they have live music on most nights. Whether you book Salmon Falls Resort or somewhere else, try to carve out some time to enjoy the other Ketchikan sites beyond just fishing. Perhaps take in some dedicated whale and eagle watching. You're likely to see a bit of this on your fishing trip itself, but you might also consider just taking a dedicated trip. Wow. Sitting right off the dock here, watching them. Maybe work this into a trip to view bears at Margaret Creek. I did a guy's trip once and we did a lot of fishing, but hiking out to see the bears feed on the salmon here was the highlight of our trip. You might even get lucky and see some bears up close and personal along the trail, like we did. Also, out on the water, why not try a crabbing and shrimp pot excursion? This can easily be done as part of your existing fishing days, and if you're nice, your place might even cook some of it up for your dinner that evening.
That we pulled from the pots and out on the water.
Some absolutely beautiful hiking is available too. Ketchikan is smack dab in the middle of the world's largest temperate rainforest, so there's some awesome hikes to see, which are unlike anything you'd experience in the lower 48. There are some great, longer, more difficult hikes, but perhaps the best hikes are the easiest ones. Our top 3 easy family hikes in Ketchikan are Settlers Cove and Lunch Falls Loop. This is a great hike for the kids and the shortest one of the 3 I'll mention at just over a half-mile long. It's a loop trail that takes you up and around a rainforest area where you also get to check out a secluded beach and a waterfall. Ward Lake Loop is another great hike, this time around a beautiful lake. There are a couple of bridges to cross along a 1.3-mile loop with nice views in all directions. And as a bonus, this area has a number of other hiking choices if you have some more energy. Finally, Coast Guard Beach has to be probably our favorite. It's a 1.7-mile down and back hike through a hummock and then a rainforest and then down to a secluded pebble-filled beach. Pro tip, you have to time this hike to arrive at low tide. Then you can experience all the colorful starfish all over the rocks on this beach. Purple and burgundy are very nice to see, but try to find the orange ones, which are much more rare. Finally, for the die-hard fishermen out there, maybe you consider a cool day of float plane fly fishing, where a float plane flies you into a remote alpine lake and drops you off for a few hours of secluded fly fishing. Well, there you have it, our visitor guide to Ketchikan, Alaska. Whether you're visiting just for the day on a cruise ship or spending a number of days fishing and exploring, we think you'll leave with great memories of Ketchikan. Hope you enjoyed our video, and if you did, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up, perhaps a nice comment, and maybe even consider following our channel for more informative, fun travel videos just like this one. Until next time, see you later.